Hi, this is Dalma. Welcome back to my channel of Books and Soul. So recently I started reading The Hobbit by J.R.R Tolkien. It is, and I'm ashamed to say this, it's my first time reading Tolkien. I decided to start with The Hobbit and then I'll go into the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I decided to start easy and begin with The Hobbit. But the first thing I realized as soon as I read the first sentence, "In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit," is that I kind of want to do this video a little bit differently. I think this book is perfect for a cozy reading vlog. It's the first one that I will be doing on this channel, so I hope you like it. It's something a little bit different, and it will also allow me to share my thoughts with you as I go along reading this book. So I hope it will be fun. We'll see. Okay, so I just got to the first part of the book. I'm not so far. I'm on page 64. But basically, okay, so like I said, this is the first time that I'm reading Tolkien, and everybody always said that The Hobbit is easier. Start with The Hobbit because it's definitely a children's book in the sense that he is talking to his readers. So sometimes he will be explaining things, kind of like you do to children. But I mean, it doesn't take away. I mean, it just adds charm to this book. It makes it so much more enjoyable. And his writing is really great, so I'm definitely enjoying this book so far. And the thing that really strikes me in this first part is Bilbo. It's Bilbo Baggins, and the fact that I love the Shire, right? Everything about the Shire is just great. The food, fire in the fireplace, and everything. Bilbo lives in this hole. I mean, a cozy hole, a beautiful hole, a home. Where he knows everything has its place. He knows exactly what he can expect every day, and something unexpected happens. There's Gandalf that approaches him and says, let's go on an adventure. Maybe you'd like to go, do something different with your life. And it's interesting how this is kind of like a recurring theme, because I know that the same thing will happen in the Lord of the Rings, where Gandalf will suddenly appear and basically flip Frodo's life upside down and stuff. But here Bilbo is asked to, you know, leave his comfort zone, leave his cozy hole, leave his home and go towards the unknown. So not only does it take courage, I mean, I can only imagine how scared and nervous he is, and he probably doubts his decision every moment, which actually he does, because every once in a while Tolkien repeats this thing where he wishes he was home. So yeah, so I really like this the way this story begins with, you know, you're in a good place, you're comfortable, you're kind of settled down, and something unexpected happens, something that calls you out of that comfort zone, out of this little world that you're in. And the willingness of Bilbo to respond, because, you know, he didn't have to say yes. He didn't have to go on this adventure. He didn't have to follow the proposal of Gandalf. And yet he did. Okay, so I'm back. I've arrived to about 2/3 of the book right now. This is probably a given, but I'm really enjoying the book. Tolkien is a really good writer. You can tell that he was a linguist. You can tell that he studied languages. What amazes me so much in this book and in the way that Tolkien writes is the fact that he has such huge attention for details. I mean, it looks like it. You can tell that he spent a lot of time thinking about this world that he has created, that he has built. Aside from the various races, the various peoples that he's come up with, right? There's the dwarves, there's the men, there's the elves, the different types of elves, and so aside from all that he's created, he has such huge attention to details. I've especially noticed this as the journey of Bilbo and the dwarves progresses in this book. They move through the world, they move through the various areas in the world that Tolkien has created, and you can tell that that everything changes as they go, as they move, as they progress. So you have this huge attention to the different flowers, the different trees, the different animals that one can find in a certain region of the world. So basically, this world that Tolkien has created has, you know, I mean, he has put a lot of thought into even the flora that's inside this world, to the tiniest things. Even the butterflies that he describes are like those of the real world, but they have a different color or something, and so he calls them something different. I mean, the specificities and the little details are astounding. And also something that I really appreciate, because this always bothers me, is that he, you know, as the journey is taking place, the time is moving, and so you know, the weather changes, the temperature changes, and so also the things that the characters experience change, because you know, there's a moment when Bilbo gets a cold or something because he, you know, it's chilly and he was soaked wet or something. And I really appreciate those little things, because you can tell, you know, he was really immersed in this story, and everything had to make sense, everything had to be, you know, right and correct. Something that is really interesting this part of the book, and I feel like now that I've read a little bit more of it, I see it more, is that this figure of Gandalf, which he begins this adventure with them. He's kind of like the one who caused this adventure, or he made it happen, at least in Bilbo's case. And he but he doesn't feel like he's the integral part of this adventure. So he's there, then he disappears. He's like part of it, but not really part of it, which is a very interesting strategy, I guess, that he uses of letting the other characters kind of develop, and letting the other characters find, let's say, the strength that they have within them. So, because it would seem too easy if there was a wizard always around. And so I like that Tolkien does this, that, there is Gandalf, there's this presence that is there to help, that is there when things get really bad, but he's not the main protagonist in this adventure. And this brings me to another point that is really interesting, and that is of Bilbo, and the fact that really in the beginning it's Gandalf who believes in him. So the dwarves are a little bit skeptical. They don't really understand why Bilbo has to come on this adventure, why he's indispensable. But there is Gandalf who keeps saying that Bilbo is necessary, and that Bilbo is a crucial and a vital part to this adventure. And he knows it, he believes it, like he always believes in Bilbo. And he says that, even if Bilbo doesn't know it yet, he is indispensable. So it's interesting that Gandalf is able to see something in Bilbo at a moment when Bilbo isn't able to see it yet. And how important is it to have someone that believes in you, that pushes you forward, never doubts you, in order to then find that strength that you do have inside of you? Because this is kind of what happens to Bilbo, without spoiling anything. I mean, this journey, as much as it is a physical journey, they go on this adventure. I think that there's also an interior type of journey that Bilbo is undertaking. So he just needs that push, that initial push of Gandalf, and then his continuous, standing by his side, not doubting him, to then finally be able to prove himself and to find these abilities and this strength that he does actually have. So I think this is something that really emerges in this part of the book, this transformation of Bilbo, which you will see more in detail when you read the book. Yes, so that's it, and now I'm gonna go back to reading. Okay, so I'm done with the book. I finished The Hobbit, So some of my final thoughts are these. The first one is that Tolkien is an amazing writer. You can really tell that he put so much thought into this book. The world he created, I mean, you just get, I feel like The Hobbit just gives you little bits of like snippets and pieces of the immensity of this world that he has created. But aside from this just geography and the various, peoples that he's created, this world has a history. There are different eras, ages that he alludes to in this book. And it's just amazing. Just to give an example, in this book alone, Tolkien wrote a lot of songs for the different people. So and all of these songs in some way or another speak of, I don't know, legends of old or prophecies or things that people pass down to each other as time goes by. And it's basically each of these songs is like poetry. Yes, sometimes more whimsical, sometimes less. But still, I mean, Tolkien wrote all of this. It amazes me how gifted he was and how much heart he put into this book. And the last thing I wanted to share with you that really struck me when I was reading this book, and then at the end when I was just sitting with various thoughts after finishing this book, is this idea of home and a place of belonging that Tolkien explores in some way in this book. We have Mr. Baggins, who throughout this whole book, first he has to leave his home, his cozy hobbit hole. He has to leave it, and as his adventures, become ever more dangerous, or as time passes by, he keeps on thinking about his home. He dreams about going back home into what's familiar, into the place that he knows exactly where everything is. And there are moments when he just wants to be home. As amazing as the adventure is, his mind keeps going back to home, the place that he loves, the place where he grew up, the place where he enjoys spending his time and where he finds the most comfort. And then on the other hand, almost in juxtaposition to this, are the dwarves, who throughout this whole book are dreaming of home as well, but it's a dream for a home that was lost. So the whole point of going on this adventure, on this really dangerous adventure where you don't know if you're going to survive or not, is to go back home, to regain this place where your roots are, the place of your fathers, the place that you're familiar with, the place where you grew up, the place where you really feel like you have an attachment to. And so this whole adventure, the reason why, Bilbo goes on this adventure, the dwarves go on this adventure, the whole reason, I guess, behind this book is, the dwarves want to go back home. This home that they still don't have, this home that they wish they could have, and that they're willing to risk everything for. And as we go along and the various adventures that they face, you meet all these different races, all these different peoples, and all of them have some sort of home. All of them have a certain place that they can call their own, their lands. And it's just this group of dwarves that kind of seems a little bit lost and a little bit out of place. So I really liked this. It really made me appreciate the fact that I have a place that I can call home, and a place, that I can go back to, where I can find comfort, a place where I can be myself, a place where I can just be. So that's it for my vlog. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really recommend that you read this book if you haven't still. And I'll see you all very soon. Bye!